My name is Louise Jacobs. I'm 27, and I live on my own in a small apartment in Denver. 2 weeks ago, I went to my mom's house for our annual family Christmas dinner. I say annual, but honestly, this dinner feels more like a performance than a holiday. It's loud, competitive, and somehow everyone is always pretending their lives are perfect. I brought a pie I baked myself, trying to keep my mood bright, even though a little voice in my head kept saying, "Do you really want to be here?" I ignored it, because family traditions are supposed to matter, right? The house was buzzing with conversation when I arrived. The tree was perfectly decorated, lights twinkling like it was straight out of a magazine. My dad was fussing over the ham, my little brother was running around showing off some gadget he got this year, and my mom, as always, was in her element, flitting around the room making sure everyone had the right plate, the right drink, the right chair. She called everyone over once dinner ended, clapped her hands like a director, and said, "All right, everyone, time for gifts." And that's when it began. She started handing them out. My dad got a fancy watch he had been eyeing for months. My brother got some high-end headphones. My cousins got gift cards, and everyone was laughing and thanking her, smiling like this was the perfect Christmas moment. I waited patiently, assuming she'd reach me next. She didn't. Not even a glance in my direction. I tried to ignore it at first, thinking maybe she had a surprise up her sleeve, some last-minute gift she hadn't shown yet. But when the last gift was handed out and everyone else was chatting happily with their new things, I finally said, as casually as I could, "Mom, is there one for me?" She looked at me and said flatly, "You have your family here. Isn't that enough?" Her tone wasn't joking. It was that cold, clipped voice that made you feel small without raising it a decibel. My little brother snickered behind her back, and my cousin leaned over and whispered, "Guess someone forgot you exist this year." Everyone laughed. I nodded, forcing a smile, and said nothing. I left the dinner early, the drive back home silent, replaying that moment over and over. I sat on my couch that night, staring at my phone, part of me furious, part of me sad, and part of me numb. I thought about all the years I had quietly made life easier for everyone else, picking up the bills when their card declined, paying for group dinners I barely got invited to, letting them charge their Amazon Prime and subscription services on my account, and never once being thanked. And now, at this one family dinner, the person who had done everything for everyone was left with nothing but humiliation. I called my best friend Jenna, who's been my anchor through every family drama. I told her everything: the fake smiles, the laugh that stung, the way my mom's eyes never met mine. She listened quietly for a few moments, then said, "Louise, that's not normal. That's cruel. They don't see you at all. They only see what they want from you." Her words hit me hard, and suddenly a thought came to me. What if I let them feel what it's like when I stop being the safety net? What if I quietly removed myself from all the little systems I had been supporting for years? The next morning, I pulled out my laptop and started going through everything I paid for on behalf of the family: subscriptions, streaming services, meal orders, event tickets, even insurance payments my mom asked me to cover last year when her card supposedly didn't go through. I made a list. I highlighted every recurring expense, every automatic payment, everything I had quietly funded while being ignored, laughed at, and made to feel invisible. Step by step, I started canceling. I removed my card from streaming services, unsubscribed from apps, turned off autopay for gym memberships, and ended all the little conveniences everyone else had silently relied on me to maintain. With each click, I felt lighter. No big dramatic announcement, no confrontation. Just quiet withdrawal, like a river slowly redirecting its course. It didn't take long for them to notice. My mom was the first to call. her voice sharp over the phone. Louise, my yoga subscription didn't go through this morning. Did something happen? I said calmly. I canceled it. You'll need to set it up under your own card now. There was silence, then a faint gasp. You can't do that. That's for my health. You know I rely on it. I replied. I also know what you said to me at dinner. I'm done paying for people who can laugh at me and act like I don't exist. That's when it started. The domino effect. My dad called about the streaming service failing. My brother called about a missed ticket payment. My cousin complained about a dinner order that didn't arrive. Each time, I gave the same answer. I stopped paying. You're responsible for your own things. Meanwhile, the family group chat began to explode with passive-aggressive messages, guilt trips, and pleas. Louise, you've changed. You used to be so kind. We just want you to be happy. I muted the chat. I stopped answering their calls. I didn't engage. And still, the chaos they had taken for granted quietly began to unravel. 2 weeks later, I was sitting on my couch, trying to enjoy a quiet evening, when the doorbell rang. I ignored it at first. Then it rang again. Longer this time. Insistent. My phone started buzzing with unknown numbers. I peeked through the peephole. My mom, dad, and even my little brother were standing outside, bags in hand, trying to act normal, smiling like they weren't about to storm the door. I opened the door just a crack and said firmly, "You're not welcome. Leave." My mom tried her usual charm. "Louise, we just brought gifts. We want to talk." My voice didn't waver. "I don't want gifts. I don't want to talk. You made your choices at that dinner. Now deal with the consequences." The knocking intensified. My dad started raising his voice. My brother begged me to just open the door, and my mom cried loudly, trying to twist the situation with tears and guilt. I stood firm. I called the building security and explained the situation. Moments later, 2 officers arrived. After hearing both sides and seeing the evidence on my phone and from the neighbor who had witnessed the confrontation, they escorted my family out and warned them not to return without permission. It was the first time in my life that I didn't feel powerless with them. They had shown their worst, and I had set a line. I wasn't reacting with anger. I wasn't yelling. I was just letting the natural consequences of their choices unfold. And suddenly, the power dynamics had shifted. In the following days, the group chat slowed, the calls stopped, and slowly, the silence of space started to feel like freedom. I could see that without my constant support, without my card, without my time silently subsidizing them, they were scrambling. My mom had to manage her own subscriptions. My dad had to deal with service payments. My brother had to pay for his own tickets. They weren't used to thinking for themselves, and suddenly they had to. A month later, I finally felt the clarity I had been missing for years. I realized that my overgiving, my endless patience, my quiet tolerance had never been recognized as love. It had been recognized as a resource, as a convenience, as something they could manipulate. And I had been complicit by staying silent for so long. I booked therapy for myself. I started journaling, detailing the moments I had been invisible, the times I had been laughed at or ignored, the moments of humiliation at the dinner table. I connected with a subreddit of people sharing similar stories of parents who weaponized guilt, siblings who demanded loyalty without respect, families that treated love as a ledger. It helped me see that my feelings were valid, that my decision to step back wasn't cruel. It was necessary. By Christmas, I spent my holiday with a few close friends, laughing, sharing food, and not once being made to feel small or ungrateful. Meanwhile, back home, my family was forced to navigate the mess they had taken me for granted for years. My mom had to manage her budget without my contributions. My dad had to call the streaming company himself. My brother had to buy his own tickets. For once, the consequences landed on them. The lesson I learned was clear. Love without respect is control disguised as care. Boundaries are not betrayal. Saying no is not selfish. It's self-respect. And sometimes, the most satisfying revenge isn't revenge at all. It's walking away and letting people experience the reality of their actions. I don't know if my family will ever fully understand the impact of what they did. Maybe they never will. But for the first time in my life, my peace doesn't depend on their approval, their smiles, or their recognition. I finally stand on my own. I finally realize that I don't need to be grateful just to sit at the table. I can be grateful to myself, to my life, and to the people who truly see me. Have you ever been in a situation where the people closest to you tried to make you invisible, laughed at your pain, or used your kindness as a tool for their convenience? How did you respond? And if you haven't yet, what would it take for you to finally stand up for yourself and reclaim your power? Because that's exactly what I did. I reclaimed mine, quietly, without drama, without screaming, without anyone else having a say. And for the first time in years, I felt what it truly meant to be free.